Hi, thanks for joining us. Today we're going to walk through the online application for the Henri IDA Business Assistance Grant Program. Applications for the program will be available online at the NJEDA's application portal, which is programs.njeda.com. Applications open at 9 a.m. on September 17th, 2021, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And we encourage anyone considering applying to visit the programs.njeda.com application portal to either set up your username and password with your profile or to be sure you can log in easily if you have applied to programs with us before. Keep in mind that applications will be accepted and decisions on a first come, first served basis based upon the date and time the authority receives a completed application submission. And if you do have questions, please feel free to reach out to us anytime Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. at 844-965-1125. At this time, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Bruce Dalella, our Chief Compliance and Operations Officer, who will walk you step by step through the application process. And we'll try and pull some frequently asked questions as he does that. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Patience. So I'm going to share my screen with everybody. Patience, let me know if you can see it.
It's there.
Excellent. All right, so first and foremost, I hope everyone is healthy and safe. We are coming again with another grant program, this time to help those that were impacted by the remnants of the 2 hurricanes that came through here at the end of August and beginning of September. I hope everyone's businesses are doing okay and your families are safe. We are standing this program up quickly to try to give some immediate assistance to those businesses. So I'm happy to walk through all of that today. As Patience said, the application, and this will be a straight application, no pre-registration like in our COVID grant programs. This will be a straight application that will go live on September 17th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So before we get started, I just wanted to familiarize everybody kind of with our portal page and the process of registering your email address, which then will give you the opportunity to create a username and password, which ultimately you will use to log in to start your application. The other thing I want to mention before we get started is you're going to see me switch between our live environment. The screen I have up here right now is programs.njeda.com. If you go to that website, this is our live environment that you will see. I will also switch over to our what we would call our test environment, as obviously the application for the Henri and IDA program is not yet live. So when I switch there, I will let you know everything you're going to see is going to be about 99% of what it will look like come September 17th. But I just wanted to make you aware. So if you see me switching screens, that's the reason I'm doing so. Okay, so to begin, first, this is the sign-in page. When you go to our website, which Patience had up on the screen, which is programs.njeda.com, it's going to take you to this homepage for our portals. As you'll see right now, as I just mentioned, in the live environment, you're not going to see the Henri IDA application yet because it's obviously not live. But the first thing we want to do is make sure we can sign in and register. I would recommend, highly recommend, that you do this before September 17th at 9 a.m. The moment you are watching this, create your username, create your password, write it down, and you will be ahead of the curve come September 17th. You may already have an account. If you've registered for any of our grant phase 2, phase 3, or phase 4 programs, you will have a username and password, and I will show you how you can remember what they may be. But please, before September 17th, come in, sign in, make sure you have everything properly written down. And sometimes we forget our passwords. I've got more passwords than I know what to do with. So please, I urge you to make sure that you are signing in before the 17th. But this is what will happen. You will come here to the home page and you're going to want to go to sign in. When you go into the sign in page, you're going to have 2 options here. It's going to ask you to enter your username or password, or it's going to ask you to register. Here, I'm going to register a new account just for those that have not been on the portal before. So all I have to do is click on this register tab right up top here, and it's going to ask me for my email address. Now, just so we are all aware, the email address that I'm going to be using is going to be a test email address. So you may not see the response to this email address. You will not get any responses or anything along those lines. It was just created so we can do a test. And I will do it here. All right. And then username. Your username does not need to be the email address, but just for the purposes here, I'm going to use this as my email address. And then I'm going to just create a password. And then I'm going to register. Now it's going to ask me to complete some information. It's going to ask me for my name. We'll call this test account. And it's going to ask me for a telephone number. I'll add that there. And then only the items throughout our whole application that you'll see, only the items in red are going to be required items. And you'll see here that the email address is already populated, and that was what was on the first screen when we hit the register. Another piece, please make sure that you have entered your correct email address. That is going to be our primary way to contact you. Without a proper email address, you may not receive our communications, or you're going to say, what's the status? Please make sure that that email address is correct. It'll really help you throughout the process. All right, so once I've entered all this information, I'm going to hit update. And as I update here, you're going to see your email requires confirmation. As I just said, it's really important that the email is proper. So the reason we ask for the confirm email address is just so that we know that it is the correct email address on file, and that you are receiving our emails. It's going to tell you right here, confirmation email has been sent to this email address. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up here and wait for it to arrive in my inbox. All right. Let's just wait for it to come in. It might take 30 seconds or so. Perfect. You see right here, CRM, no reply, confirm your account. All right, your account requires confirmation. Please click the following link to complete the registration. You can either click right here, or you can copy and paste this whole long string. I'm just going to go to the complete registration. And it'll take me there. And now my email address has been confirmed successfully, and you'll be redirected to the home page. Great. If you're not redirected within a couple of seconds, you could always click on the button up here, but it redirected me. So now I'm signed in as a test account. What I want to do is I'm going to sign out here, right? So I just walked through the steps of how to register. I'm now going to go through and say, you know what? I have a username and password. This is my username, but man, I forget my password. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to forget username and password. I'm going to click this link right here. And it's going to say, what's the email address to request a password reset? So we're going to do this again. And I'm going to type in that email, and it's going to tell me to please check my email to reset the password. So let's come back here. Now remember, this was the first email I received was to confirm your account. Wait a couple of seconds. Just get out of there. And here you go. So now you're going to see forgot username and password reset. Click on this. And when you're in here, there's two things that you're going to want to pay attention to here. Here's my username. It's telling me exactly right here what my username is. So maybe you didn't use your email address as your username, but you were typing a letter in wrong or whatever it might be. This is where it'll tell you what your username is. And then here I can go to the password reset. All right, so I know now, okay, this is my username. I'm going to reset my password because I forgot it. So I'm going to type in a new password, and then it's just going to ask me to confirm the password. And when you're looking at your password, it needs to contain 3 of the following 4 items. It'll be a uppercase letter, a lowercase letter, a number, or a special character. So it needs 3 of those 4. And it'll tell you if you don't have one of those, but just as an FYI, those are the items that you would need. Once you have that, you click reset, and it says your password's been reset. Perfect. Now all I would have to do is go back in here, and I could type in my password again. And now it's going to take me back here to the test account, and I'm back into the system. Now what's going to happen when we go live on the 17th, you're going to see a button here that's going to look something very similar to this right here. That's going to say the Henri Ida Business Assistance Grant Program. I am now on the test environment. Just so you are aware, this is what it will look like. So when you logged in, you'll see that you're logged in. Another thing, sometimes people think that they're just logged in because it was saved from the last time they came into the system. Make sure it doesn't say sign in here and it actually has your name that you registered under. Okay, so here's the name that I registered under, and I'm going to go into the assistance program, and we're going to start an application. Remember, this is for somebody that received substantial damage as a result of the remnants of the hurricanes. This is not a COVID-related program. When we get to the next screen, I'm going to go through some of the questions, but it's really important. Please, if you did not receive physical damage as a result of these storms, please do not apply. It'll really impact our ability to quickly get assistance out to other individuals that did suffer damage, as well as you're just going to be declined in the process because you're not going to be able to provide us all the information that we need. So really, just if you did receive damage, please apply. If you didn't, this isn't a COVID-related grant program. All right, so we'll come back to here and look at what this means at the end. But all this is right here are listing all the applications that I've started or created as of today. But what you're going to want to do the first time you come in here at 9 a.m., you're going to want to click Start Application on September 17th, 9 a.m. You're going to click this button, and it's going to take you to this first page. This first page here is just an eligibility confirmation. And what these questions are asking you is all of these you need to be able to answer yes to. If you answer no to any of these questions, you are going to be declined as we go through the process. We're not asking you actually to answer them through here. We're going to ask you to confirm it down here. But please, please, please read these questions and make sure that all of these you can answer yes. So the first question, does your business have a physical, commercial, business location within the state of New Jersey? You must have a physical, commercial location within the state. Did your business, physical, commercial, business location, and you're going to hear me say that over and over again because it needs to be commercial. Did it sustain physical damage as a result of the remnants of Hurricane Henri or Ida? And physical damage includes flooding, structural damage, roof damage, wind damage, all of those type of things. The physical damage that we will not count would just be power loss alone. So if you had no impact from the storm other than a loss of power, that is not the physical damage that is going to be eligible for this program. We're also going to ask you to provide evidence of this physical damage, whether it's a photo, whether it's a repair invoice, maybe it's a contractor estimate, whatever it may be, you need to have documentation and proof at the time you're submitting your application. As we go through this process, you are going to see that a question is going to be asked, and we're going to have to upload a document for that. Was your business in operation on August 1st, 2021? The reason this is important is because this program is for rental or mortgage assistance for the month of August. So you need it to be in operation on August 1st in order to be eligible for this program. Did you make a August 2021 rent or mortgage payment in excess of $1,000 for the physical, commercial, business location that suffered damage? So were you operating on August 1st in a commercial location and your rent or mortgage was greater than $1,000? That's the minimum need. You needed to have at least $1,000 in order to be eligible for this program. Can you provide evidence of the rent or mortgage payment? A copy of payment, canceled check, anything, even if it's a screenshot on your phone that shows the payment of it, you gonna have to submit that with your application today as well. Was the physical damage to the commercial location and the business interruption, lost hours, lost sales, et cetera, in excess of $1,000? So was your damage, do you have a need greater than $1,000? So you suffered damage to your flooring or to your drywall or to your roof. It has to be in excess of $1,000. And we'll also be able to include business interruption, meaning, or as a result of the storm, I had to close for a couple of days. It impacted my revenue. But what we're looking for is you needed to have a need of at least $1,000. And lastly, we just want to make you aware that landlord and home-based businesses are not eligible for this program. This is strictly for businesses that are operating in a commercial fashion. All right. And then we have you reviewed these above questions and attest that my business is not eligible because, or excuse me, my business is eligible because I can answer yes to all of these. Again, if you answer no to any of these questions, you will be denied. And by answering this acknowledgement, you understand the statement and would like to proceed. So we're going to ask you to check that box that you've read all of this, and then you do agree that you can answer yes to all of them. The next piece is relatively straightforward. It's just going to ask for your name. So we're going to just do test name, title test, and then we'll do telephone number. Right, I don't have a website. Am I an authorized signer for the business? You must be an authorized signer, meaning you must be able to execute a grant agreement. You must be able to provide us with statement of assurances. You must be able to provide us with a banking instructions if you were to be approved. All of these things, you must be an authorized signer for the business entity. And then it's going to ask for your registered business name. This is going to be cross-referenced with the Department of Taxation. So if you don't know your business name, look at your formation documents. In many instances, if you're a sole prop, make sure that your business is not, in a lot of instances, excuse me, a sole proprietor actually will be the registered business name will be the name of the individual. So just make sure that you are putting in the correct registered business name. If not, this will be a reason that we would reach back out to you later on in the process to clarify what your registered business name may be. For here, I'm just going to put test account version 3, and then you're doing business name as, if you're Joe's Pizzeria, and that's what you go by. Some people have it doing business name as, others do not. That's why you'll see here that there's not a red, as I talked about earlier, asterisk. All the red asterisks are required fields. So then I will click next. And patience, at any time, if you have a question, please feel free to interrupt me. And if I'm going too fast or going too slow, you can tell me to hurry up or slow down.
I think you're doing great.
All right. So the next one is going to be business address. This is going to be the address of the physical commercial location damaged as a result of the storms. So in some instances, in previous programs that we had, people were afraid that we might mail them something and they put their home address or whatever because they were worried that they might not be at their business address in order to receive any communication. The first thing is most of our communication is going to be through email. The second thing is here, we need to know the physical location as to where the damage occurred. So there should never be an answer here that's a PO box or anything to that effect, because that's not a physical commercial location. All right, so I'm just going to put 36 West State Street here. And then it's going to ask me whether you have a street address too. This might be you have an apartment, or you might have a suite number, or whatever it may be. Just that's what you would put here into the address line too. All right, so here we have zip code. Now you'll see here in the zip code, it's grayed out where you can't type in any numbers. That's because you're going to have to use this little search function over here. And when you go over here, it's going to ask you to type in your zip code. Now there's a couple of ways you can do this. You'll see it's in numeric order. You could either go all the way through this process here, or up here in the search bar, you could just type in whatever your address may be and then hit that search button. Here, the zip code is 08625. It's in Trenton, New Jersey, and I'm going to select that as the zip code. It'll then come down to the city. Again, you're not going to be able to type anything into the city. Here, you're going to click on the search bar again, and you'll see that it's Trenton. So I'm going to select that. Here, for some addresses, there may be multiple city names that are under your zip code. Just select the one that is most applicable to your business. Again, is this a commercial location? The answer to this question must be yes. One, you must answer truthfully. Two, it must be yes, or you're not going to be eligible for the program. And again, is the entity a home-based business? Just a reminder, home-based businesses are not eligible. So if you are a home-based business, you will not be eligible for this program. Okay. Once we answer all these questions, I'm going to click next. All right, now it's just going to ask us a little bit of information about your business in general. The date your business was established and operational. All right, so I'm just going to put in a date here, 1/1/1990. You also can just type it in, free form, or you can use the calendar feature here and go through and click wherever you may be. All right, what's the ownership structure of your business? Are you a sole proprietor? Are you a partnership? And we're going to list the various partnerships that you could be as well. Please select whichever one you believe is the ownership structure of your business. Again, you could go to your formation documents if you are not sure of this. For the purposes of this application, I'm going to select a sole proprietor. You may have more than one owner for your entity. In order to do that, you can just add your owners here. And what we'd be looking for, everyone with 10% or greater ownership. All right. So here I'm going to add an owner. All you had to do is click add owner, and I'm going to put test owner. And then I will hit submit. And you'll notice once it processes, it'll come right here under my owner name. All right, now it's going to ask for the employee identification number of your business. This is really important. This is going to be the EIN that you're registered with the state with. Please make sure, double and triple check that you are typing in the correct number here. If you type in an incorrect number, it will delay your process by multiple weeks in order to, one, what will happen is we'll run these checks across all of our sister state agencies. And then if it comes back that none of your information is found, we're then going to have to reach out to you. You're going to have to come back to us, provide us with the correct EIN information, and then we have to rerun all of those checks again. So please take the time to make sure that you have your right EIN. Write it down prior to starting the application so you know you have it exactly. All right, so I'm going to do, all right, it's going to make up an EIN there. And then it's going to ask me, in some instances, if we have this EIN in our system, they'll ask you no more questions. This will be it, and you will move on to the next question, which is right here. You may also see a couple of additional questions that'll pop up if you have an EIN that's not in our system. And what that wants to do is it just wants to make sure that you're properly registered within the state. So there'll be a link that will appear just to make sure that the EIN number that you have is properly registered within the state. Okay. The next question here, does your business file taxes under a Schedule C or a Schedule E? If so, please provide the Social Security number of the business. What we want to do here is just a yes or no question. If you do file a Schedule C, please click yes. If you don't, please click no. So for the purposes of this application, I'm going to choose no. All right, the next question is, does your business file a New Jersey WR30? This is not a requirement of the program, but we ask the question because there is a maximum of 50 full-time equivalent employees that are eligible. So what we're asking here is, do you have W-2 employees? And do you file a WR30 with the Department of Labor Workforce Development? This WR30 is a form that is submitted quarterly to the Department of Labor on behalf of your employees for just showing wages, weeks worked, and part of that process is for unemployment purposes. So if you have W-2 employees, you normally would file a WR-30 with the state of New Jersey. We will cross-reference your information with the Department of Labor just to validate all of the information that you're putting in here into the application. So here I'm going to say, yes, I do file a WR-30 with the state. Now it's going to ask, does your business utilize a professional employment organization? I'm not going to go into great detail what a professional employment organization is, but basically this is an entity potentially that would file the WR-30 on your behalf, and the employees actually are not yours. They're the professional employment organization. You will know if you have a professional employment organization or a PEO because you would be paying them. You would have a written agreement with them. A large majority of our applicants do not have PEOs, some do, but you will know if you have a PEO. So I'm going to answer no here because in most instances, the businesses that we're dealing with do not have a PEO. Then it's going to ask us what the full-time employees as reported on your Q2 2021 WR-30 filing is. That is going to be your most recently filed WR-30. So for here, I'm going to put 5 employees. And for here, I'll put 5 part-time employees. And then it'll ask us the number of 1099 employees, and we have 0. And here we have 1 part-time employee that we 1099. All right, and then for informational purposes, we're just asking for your 2019 annual revenue. So let me put 50,000. And then the 2020 revenue, let me put 12,500. All right, and then it's going to ask for the NAICS code. Your NAICS code is the industry that you identify with. So you'll see here, you're going to have a long list of options. Again, this is similar to the zip code where you can, click through all of these pieces here, but you also can search. So if I want to put here and I'm going to put construction, right, it's going to give me everything that has construction in its name, right? So I'm going to say, okay, I am a new single family housing construction, right? So this is my NAICS code. I'm going to select that and I'm going to click select. As you see here, it'll populate new single family housing construction. That's what my business does. All right, with that, I'm going to click next. So now it's going to give me can't be submitted for the following reasons. So let's see what we have here and see what got held up on us. Perfect. So what you're going to see is you've already submitted an application using this EIN, and only 1 application per EIN is allowed. Perfect. That is another, if you've already submitted an application with an EIN, then it's not going to allow you to submit another one with that same EIN. All right, so I'm going to go previous. And you see here, I hit the back button there, the back button or the previous button. It'll just take you to the previous screen. I'm going to click next again, and I'm going to re-enter my information here. So we said we were 01/01/1990. Or I can do it using the application window here, but let's just do 1/1/1990. My ownership structure is a sole proprietor. I already have my test owner there, and we're going to do, let's do, all right. And I do not file a Schedule C. I do file a WR-30. I do not have a professional employment organization. I have, we said 5 employees, 5 part-time, 0 full-time 1099 employees. We said 1 part-time, we'll say 50,000, 12.5, and then my NAICS code. I said, my business is construction. Come here. Right. Now you see when I corrected my EIN, it now allowed me to go to the next screen. I will show you when we go through the process where you can see which applications you've already submitted, and we can talk through how you can edit an application if you need to. This next question is going to be a religious affiliation. Are you affiliated with a religious organization? It's just a yes/no question. If you are a religious organization, there's going to be an additional form after the application that we're going to ask you to fill out, and we will contact you with that form. For the purposes of this application, I'm going to select no. It's then going to ask me for lobbying or for political purposes. Is your company engaged in anything? I'm going to again say no. And now it's going to come to the duplication of benefits affidavit. For those of you that have done our COVID grants, you may remember that there's a large amount of different COVID assistance that was out there. For the purposes of this affidavit, this is strictly dealing with these two storms specifically. So it's going to ask, have you applied for any other Henri or Ida assistance, whether it's insurance, FEMA, Small Business Administration. So what you can either answer yes or no. I know we are very early in this process. You may, if you had suffered damage, already filed an insurance claim. If you did, please answer yes to this question. And then it's going to ask you what you have applied for. Right? So we could put insurance proceeds, and you can just tell us what the status is, and it may be in process. How much did you apply for? You may know, you may not know. Let's just say we applied for $50,000. What was your approved date or applied date? Again, you may not be approved yet, so please put in when you applied. And what were the purposes of this fund? Were you going to do inventory, payroll, or are there going to be other reasons for it? So I'm going to select other, and then I'm going to click next. All right, and then it's going to ask us for designations. And this is strictly up to you how you would like to answer this. You know, whatever the designation for your business is, minority owned, woman owned, veteran owned, disabled owned, none, or I do not wish to identify. So I'll select that for the purposes of just this application. And now it's going to ask you a couple of business details. All of these are entities that may not be eligible. Does your entity host gambling or gaming activities? Selling lottery tickets or hosting a fundraiser that may be a football pool or something to that effect is not a gambling or gaming activity that we are talking about here. So I will answer no to this question. My entity does not. Does the entity conduct adult activities? No, it does not. This again doesn't mean that your adults come to your store. This is more mature nature adult activities. Does your entity conduct auction, bankruptcy sales, fire sales? No. Are you a transient merchant? Transient merchant, when I think about this, think of a Christmas tree salesperson entity that is in the, you're driving down the highway and you see in a gas station, there's 20 or 30 Christmas trees for sale, where it's not, that business isn't there all the time. It's just there for a very brief period of time. Are you an outdoor storage facility? No.
Chris, can I interject right there?
Sure.
But what if I'm a food truck?
A food truck would not be considered a transient merchant. A food truck, while is transient in nature, there is a home for that food truck somewhere that is located. It goes out on more of a frequent basis and is not seasonal in nature.
Thank you.
Yep. And then again, constitute a nuisance or for any illegal purposes. So all of these must be no, but you must answer them truthfully, obviously. But anything other than a no will be a declination of your application. This is your legal questionnaire. Here it's going to ask you whether you've been convicted of crimes, ever had license revoked, things of that nature. If you answer yes to any of these questions, it's going to ask you for a detail. So it's going to require you to give an explanation. If you answered yes, that's okay. It doesn't not mean that you're not going to be eligible. The more detail you give us into what happened and what were the ramifications and the time frame that it happened in, that'll help us make a decision in a quicker nature than it would if you just put a very, if it's not in great detail, we're going to have to reach back out to you, wait for your response again. But if you provide us clarity and more detail, we may be able to process it without any further information from you. All right, so for this one, I answered yes. For everything else, I'm just going to answer no so we can get through the application. But like I said, you'll see here that it was required for you to type in something when you answer yes. All right. I will click next. Now we're going to ask for Privacy Act statement release waiver. This is just allowing us to use our sister agencies, whether specifically here, this is for taxation, just to get your business registration information. You would check this box right here and click next. All right, now we're going to get into more of the impact statements as a result of the storms. So this first question is, which storm did you suffer the physical damage to? If you suffered from both, please just select the one that you sustained the most damage from. So for the purposes here, I'm going to select Hurricane Ida. Did your commercial location suffer physical damage of the results? Yes, it did. And again, this is not just flooding of a parking lot. This doesn't mean that you weren't able to get into work because a street was closed. This means that your physical location to the actual structure of the building received the damage. And again, to be eligible, your business must have sustained physical damage to the commercial location.
Can we talk about a couple examples of physical damage while we're on the page?
Mm-hmm.
So my business got flooded, and I have tables and display cases. All of those things were damaged. Do all of those things count as physical damage?
Absolutely. So
I also have a freezer, and my freezer, because of the flooding, was rendered useless. It didn't work anymore because of the flooding and the damage to the electrical system. Do the ingredients in the freezer count as a loss as well?
Yes.
Was that damage?
Yes, that would be considered physical damage because it was a result of the water coming into the structure of your building.
Okay.
Similarly, if a tree fell down and went through the roof of your commercial location, that would be another physical structure, damage as a result of the storm. In your one example though, patients, if somebody just lost power, they suffered no structural damage, no flooding, no wind damage, nothing other than the storm knocked out a utility pole 5 miles away that just so happened provided power to my business. That alone would not be considered physical damage to the structure of the as a result of the storm. So that would not be eligible.
Okay.
All right, so the next question here is just going to say, do you have documented proof of this damage? We need to see documented proof or we're not going to be able to provide you with assistance. So then we're going to ask, yes, I do have documented proof. Great. What documented proof do you have? So I have photos. Fantastic. It's going to ask you right here to please upload the proof of damage documentation below. So in order to do that, we're just going to click on add files here. When you do that, it's just going to ask you to choose files. You'll see here the add files is grayed out because I haven't selected a file yet to upload in here. So I'm going to click on the choose files, and it's going to take me to, it just so happens that I put this into, that I had the information in one folder just so we could do it for this test purposes, but I have a Ida photo damage. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click open. And what you're going to see is right here, you're going to see Ida photo damage. Perfect. Now I can see that I'm ready to add files. You'll see that now I can actually click on this add files. It may take a second to upload, and you'll see right here, perfect, Ida photo damage. It's been uploaded. Then it's just going to ask me to please confirm the upload of proof of damage. The reason we ask you to check this here is just to make sure that you see what you just put there is right here, right? So please confirm that you did upload something. Again, if you don't upload a photo of your damage or invoices or anything of that nature, we're going to have to decline you because you do not have proof that something happened. All right. So the next question is, what's the estimated physical damage to your business caused as a result of Henri or Ida? So this is going to be a dollar amount. What's the estimated physical damage? Now, I understand we are about a week and a half removed from the storm. You may not know exactly what the estimated damage is. This is going to be your best ballpark guess of what it might be. Well, I lost 5 tables that cost me $100 So that's $500. My floor is completely destroyed. That's going to cost approximately $5,000. Okay, I've got $5,500 of physical damage. I understand you may not know exactly to the dollar amount what this is. We're asking for an estimated guess here in this situation. Additionally, the next question is, what is the estimated business loss? So this is loss of revenue, sales, etc. Well, I still have not been able to reopen, or I was closed for 5 days as a result of the storm, and my business has really been coming back as a result of COVID. And I was, my revenue for a day was $1,000, and I had 5 days that I was closed. So I'm going to estimate that my loss was $5,000 as a result of the storm. Okay. And then you'll see here where it says full need, it's a grade-in field. It is just adding up these two numbers here. What you'll see, what this allows us to tell, what this tells us is what the need is as a result of the storm. So we're saying you have $10,000 worth of need because of what happened from the storm. I'll click next to the next screen. And now we're going to have certification of need. So you just told us what that need was. Now we're going to certify to exactly what you have to, what we can reimburse you for. So here it's going to say, have you paid rent or mortgage for the month of August? I have paid rent. Fantastic. To be eligible, you must have paid a rent or mortgage. This program is specifically designed for rent or mortgage. Again, if you have a commercial line of credit that's not rent or not mortgage, you're not going to be eligible for this program. This is specifically targeting rent or mortgage for the month of August of 2021. Okay. And how much was your August rent? Please do not include back rent or late fees. So we just want to know, what is your normal rent or mortgage for 2021? I'm going to say it is $5,000. Now, like we started with, this program will give you $1,000 as a minimum to $5,000 as a maximum. Your rent may be $10,000. We can't give you $10,000. We would only be able to give you the maximum of $5,000. Your rent may be $5,000, but maybe the storm only caused $1,000 worth of damage. In that situation, we're only going to give you what we would call $1,000 to make you whole as a result of Ida.
So, and then in that same example, if my rent is $2,500 and my need is $10,000, I'm solely getting reimbursed for what my $2,500 rent is.
Correct. We will never give you more than what your rent or mortgage payment is, or what your need is, as you identified to us in that previous screen. All right. And then here, we're asking you to please upload proof of the lease and mortgage and the rent or mortgage payment. All right. So what we're looking for here is we want a copy of your lease, a copy of your mortgage, something that shows you have to pay X amount of money a month in a lease or a mortgage. And similarly, we're going to click on add files here, and we're going to choose the files. And you'll see that I have a commercial lease. So that's going to be my proof of a lease. And I'll add that file. And then I'm also want to add my payment because it's asking me for both. And then there's just a sample of the voided check. Again, your proof of payment, maybe you have it automatically deducted. You could take a screenshot of the automatic deduction out of your checking account or from your mortgage provider, or maybe you log in and you do it electronically through your landlord, whatever it may be. Just proof that you have a lease and that you made a payment. That's what we're looking for here. And again, it's going to ask you to please confirm the upload of the proof of the lease and mortgage. So let me see. Yep, here's my lease. I can confirm that. Confirm the upload of your August 2021 rent payment. Yep, sample check. Perfect. All right, I checked both of them. And then I click next. And this is just going to, this next screen is a certification of your application. And this is basically saying that everything I say is true and accurate. Please make sure you read all of these so that you are, in fact, telling us everything is truthful. This is what you're certifying to right now. So I am just going to click on these in the interest of time, but please make sure you read all of these. All right. And then I will click next. And this is just going to be the electronic signature. I agree to be bound by electronic signature. I'm an authorized signer for the business. I'm confirming that my EIN right here is correct. Here is the email address, and then my full name. I think I did test account. And then right here, we're going to do, you've got to type in these symbols. And the reason we do this is to make sure there's no automated bots that are coming into the system trying to generate applications. Once all of this is okay, I click submit. And perfect. It tells me right here that it's been submitted, where my communications will be emailed to, and everything like that. Now I'm going to go back to my application list. And this is where we started, if you remember. And within here, when we first started, we clicked Start Application. But what you'll also see is that I have 3 that are submitted and 1 that's in process. This is how you will know that an application has been submitted. The status reason will tell you. If you see in process, you are not done. You need to click on this link and go back in and make sure you answer all of the questions to get this to a submitted status. Okay, this is where you will make sure that everything is okay. Additionally, once you submit the application and we start processing the applications, this will also give you a status reason of whether you're in review, whether we need additional documentation, whatever the case may be. This will provide you some more up-to-date, almost live spots of where you are on the application list. In review, in process, approved, all of those things, funded, all of those things. And the last thing I just wanted to bring you aware of, if you remember when we started this, I used this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 application, and I got that error that said, you've already applied with that with that EIN number. Here's the reason why. I had already submitted one of those. So I wanted to just show you that, hey, if I get that error, maybe I've actually already come in and done this. And the way you can see that is by going to this application list, and you can see right here, yep, there it is. I've already done this one and I've already submitted it. Okay.
And that's how I can see if I'm submitting. I can have one profile in several applications. If I have multiple locations, all with a different EIN, I'll be able to see them all in this one place.
Absolutely. If you have different EINs and multiple organizations, you would all see them right here. And again, you want to make sure that all of them are submitted, because that'll be your key to say, okay, I've gone through every process, I've gone through every screen, and I'm completed the application.
And if I have multiple locations all under the same EIN, and only one was damaged, I submit only the information for that one.
Correct. So if you have one EIN and you have 5 locations and one of the locations was damaged, you would only provide us the information on the damaged location.
And
similarly,
if you had, sure.
Yeah, so if you had one EIN and you have multiple locations, so all of my EINs are 987456321, and you had 3 or 4 damage locations, you're only eligible for 1 award per EIN. So in that instance, you would provide the location that suffered the most damage would be what your application would be processed under.
Thank you. What, how much time in between when applications are submitted should we expect to hear something regarding our application?
Sure. So we want to process your applications as quickly as possible. I've said a couple of times through this process, we would look at the information from our sister agencies. So what'll happen is the application will be open for a week, at least a week. If it closes early, or if there's any reason why we have to close it early, or if we're oversubscribed, or whatever the case might be. But let's just assume that we leave the application open for a week. We then will take all of our applicants, we'll submit all of that information to our sister agencies, and then we'll begin the approval process shortly thereafter. But like I said from the beginning, or maybe not even the beginning, but about 5 minutes ago, please come back to this location here, and it will tell you where you are in the process, right? So if you see something that goes from submitted to in review, well, then we're going through all of our checks to make sure everything that you've provided was accurate, if the information was accurate. You may also see that you're approved. If you're approved, you would have received a grant agreement. The grant agreement is going to come from Adobe Sign. It'll be a separate email that will have the grant agreement and the terms of the grant and things along those lines. Within that grant agreement will be the banking instructions. Again, I ask, please make sure your banking instructions are correct. So double check all of the information you're providing, because if you provide us the right information the first time, the approval process is much smoother, much quicker than if you have to continually go back and forth with us correcting information. So with that, it would probably be, it's going to be a week that the application will be open. Then we got to get our sister agency checked. But I just encourage you to check back here for the status reason, because this will give you a live update of where your application is.
Will that also tell me if I have been requested to provide additional information?
It will. So you will see a status reason of additional documentation required. And then again, I would please implore you to look at your email, because we probably have sent you an email that has the information that we need back from you. If you have searched everywhere, including your junk, your spam, wherever it may be, and you do not see that email, I know patients put this information up earlier, but at the end of this process, we'll also give you the call center number as well. Please call us and we'll resend out the link or get you the correct information that we need from you.
So I think that those are important things to remember. And you get to this page by logging in using your username and password and selecting My Applications, and then Henri Ida Business Assistance Grant from the dropdown. You can always check there. You may be in review for a bit. If you consider what Bruce said, that if you apply on day one and the application period is a week, we're not starting to look at you until after that week is over. So logging in here and seeing that you're in review is not a cause for worry, but logging in and seeing that you are in review or that we have asked for additional documentation. And also, if your application has been declined for any reason, you'll see all of those statuses here. And if you haven't heard from us or you haven't seen an email from us, then you should certainly reach out to our call center and let them know, hey, I noticed that my status was additional documentation required, or I noticed that my status was approved, but I've not received any emails. Can you help me? So if you're checking, once a week on a somewhat regular basis, just to make sure, after giving some time post the close of the program, you'll be sure that if for some reason you didn't receive the email that we sent, we can get you another copy of it and take care of you. So I think everybody remember to come back to this portal.
Absolutely. And with that as well, please write down your username, write down your password, make sure you are coming in and making sure you can register an account prior to September 17th. Because if you have any problems, you can call our call center. Or if you need a password reset, you can do that. Or if there could be a litany of reasons why there might be an issue. So I would love for you to be able to get in right at 9 a.m., but you can't do that unless you have your username and password and are able to log in. So please, please, please do that prior to Friday, September 17th at 9 a.m.
Yes. And then if we can get that final slide back up on the screen again, so that you can take a moment and write down the number for the call center, which is 844-965-1125. Also, that you can remember September 9th at 9 a.m. Programs.njeda.com is the location for the portal. Register if you're new. Simply sign in if you're not. Important things to remember from the beginning of the webinar: if you forget your password and you send off for a reset password email, that reset password email is also going to include your username. And that's a frequent call that we get. I keep trying to get in, I'm not able to get in. Oh, I wasn't using the correct username. Different places have different requirements for that. We do not. Your username can be anything you want it to be, including your email. It is not capital and lowercase specific. Make sure you don't have additional spaces on either end of it, because those are hard things for folks to see if we're trying to help you out. And thanks for joining us. Again, 844-965-1125 is the number for the NJEDA call center should you have any questions. All of this information will also be available at njeda.com under the IDA relief section. You can go there to see our frequently asked questions. We're going to have a sample of the application up. That's where this video is located. So if you're watching this, you've been here and you know that, hopefully. And thanks so much. And we wish you the best of luck going forward.
Thank you again and good luck.